Hi, thank you so much for tuning back in. This is part C of chapter 3. My name is Lesley Donaldson and I'm reading The Story by Max Lucado and Randy Frazee. I've chosen it because I love to read the scriptures and the Bible and so forth. And the story is written as one continuing story, as if it's written as a novel. So it's a lot easier to read and follow along. So I want to pick up quite quickly where we left off. We have just left off where Joseph and his brothers are reunited, and his brothers find out exactly who Joseph is, and what an incredible situation that must have been. So if you haven't picked up from part A and part B, please do, so that you know exactly where we are. And if you have your own copy, we are starting on page 40 of the story. So let's just jump right back in here. So I'll just start at the top. Then he threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and wept. And Benjamin embraced him, weeping. And he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. After his brothers talked, and afterwards his brothers talked with him. This is regarding Joseph. We are reading from Joseph, from slave to deputy Pharaoh. So when they went out of Egypt and came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him, Joseph is still alive. In fact, is ruler of all Egypt. Jacob was stunned. He did not believe them. But when they told him everything Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the carts Joseph had sent to carry him back, the spirit of their father Jacob was revived. And Israel said, I'm convinced my son Joseph is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. So Israel set out with all that was his. And when he reached Beersheba, he offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in a vision at night and said, Jacob, Jacob. Here I am, he replied. I am God, the God of your father, he said. Do not be afraid. Do not go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation there. I will go. Oh, sorry. I need to back that up. Let me see. Did I read that correctly? Let me just see. I am God, the God of your father, he said. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation there. I will go down to Egypt with you, and I will surely bring you back again. And Joseph's own hand will close your eyes. Then Jacob left Beersheba. And Israel's sons took their father Jacob and their children and their wives in their carts that Pharaoh had sent to transport him. Now Jacob sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to get directions to Goshen. When they arrived in the region of Goshen, Joseph had his chariot made ready and went to Goshen to meet his father Israel. As soon as Joseph appeared before him, he threw his arms around his father and wept for a long time. Israel said to Joseph, Now I'm ready to die, since I have seen for myself that you are still alive. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers in Egypt and gave them property in the best part of the land, the district of Ramses, and Pharaoh directed. Jacob lived in Egypt 17 years, and the years of his life were 147. When the time drew near for Israel to die, he called for his son Joseph and said to him, If I have found favor in your eyes, put your hand under my thigh and promise that you will show me kindness and faithfulness. Do not bury me in Egypt, but when I rest with my fathers, carry me out of Egypt and bury me where they are buried. I will do as you say, he said. Swear to me, he said. Then Joseph swore to him, and Israel worshipped as he leaned on the top of his staff. Then Israel said to Joseph, I am about to die, but God will be with you and take you back to the land of your fathers. Jacob died at a ripe age of 147 years. Before the last day, he gathered his sons to bless them, pronounce their future, and give them ongoing responsibilities. Not all of his sons got what they wanted. Reuben, for example, was chastised for an earlier sexual sin that no doubt he had hoped his father would not remember. Jacob's last words foretold that some of his sons and their descendants would experience success, others hard times. Jacob adopted Joseph's two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, as his own. This allowed Jacob to give Joseph a double inheritance as one whose character had earned his trust and confidence. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs we did to him?" So they sent word to Joseph saying, "Your father left these instructions before he died. This is what you are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servants of the God of your father." When their message came to him, Joseph wept. His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. "We are your slaves," they said. But Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid. I am in the place of God. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then, don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children." And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. Joseph stayed in Egypt along with all his father's family. He lived 110 years and saw the third generation of Ephraim's children. Although the children of Machir, son of Manasseh, were placed at birth on Joseph's knees. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "I am about to die, but God will surely come to your aid and take you up out of this land to the land he promised on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." And Joseph made the Israelites swear an oath and said, "God will surely come to your aid, and then you must carry my bones up from this place." So Joseph died at the age of 110, and after they embalmed him, he was placed in a coffin in Egypt. Wow. Next would be chapter 4, Deliverance. Now, give me just a minute here. There was a couple things that I just wanted to go back and read. Just one sec. Just a sec. Okay, so here. We went through this timeline, okay? We went through Joseph sold into slavery, which was around 1898 BC. Then we went to Jacob settles in Egypt, 1876. Jacob dies, 1859. and Joseph dies 1805. So this goes backwards, this way that we're talking. Full timeline information starts here. So isn't that interesting? Okay. That's a very interesting thing about the timeline. And then here, let me just see. There was a couple things here. The word Manasseh, Manasseh, sounds like and may be derived from the Hebrew for forget. That's a word that means forget in Hebrew. Interesting. Ephraim, Ephraim, sounds like the Hebrew for twice fruitful. So we have one child that might be derived from the Hebrew word forget, and then we have another child derived from the Hebrew word twice fruitful. That's very interesting. Okay, so let's go to the questions for next week. Okay, so chapter 3, the discussion questions in the back of the book. This is what some of the questions could be that we could be thinking about this week for the Bible study. And next week when we start, we will answer them. So I'd love to hear what your answers are as well. So this is what they say. Questions for chapter 3. Number 1. Why did Joseph's brothers want to get rid of him? Why does God allow hurtful things to happen to people? That's huge. I think that is something that I really, really will take away from this, is why does bad things happen to good people? Because it's been going on in this book. We're only in chapter 3, and look at what's going on. And how does that relate to you? What are your life experiences? I know I can relate to a lot of this in my life experiences, and I am thankful to be able to say that God is good, that no matter what has happened to me so far, I still say God is good. I'm still thankful, and God meant, they might have meant it for bad, but God meant it for good, and is going to use it to prosper us and raise us up for just a time as this, for encouraging me to even just do this Bible study. That's how I see it. I see this Bible study as a gift to share. So question number 3. What were the positive effects of Joseph's being sold into slavery? That's a great question. I'll read it again. Sorry that I jumbled up the words. What were the positive effects of Joseph being sold into slavery? I just want to make a comment that some people may say, what would ever be positive about being sold into slavery, right? If you didn't know the backstory and you didn't know God or anything like that, how could you possibly think that there would be anything good come from that, right? Especially slavery in those days. We're not talking about, Camp Cupcake where, some people sometimes go. So this is question 4. What does Joseph's statement to his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good," tell you about God? Well, that's what we're just talking about. Lots going on here. Question number 5. In what ways have you seen God work through the most bleak and hopeless situations to cause a greater good? These are great questions. I want to answer them right now, but we're going to save it for next week. The last question here at number 6. Why can God be trusted at all times? I just want to answer all those questions right now, but I just won't. So please think about those. Maybe go back, go over part A, part B, part C. And I just thank you so much for your time. Thank you for participating in this Bible study. And it's online. It's not at a time. You can just watch it whenever you want to and pick up when you want to as well. So if you go to ITR Polygraph, hit playlists, they're all there, or hit videos, they're all there. Please like and comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next Thursday when we go over the discussion questions and read chapter 4. Okay, have a great week. Thank you again. Bye now.